Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 4627 Southeast Francis Street here in Portland. We're located down in the basement. We're going to access the line here through an auxiliary drain clean out. It's a 2-inch pipe. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. I actually have another video link. Just adjacent to this room, there's a 3-inch ABS line that's coming through the, it looks like an extra bathroom added in. We've tried that. It's a very awkward point of access, so we're hopefully going to get further through this one here. But anyway, everything that I scoped, and I have that video available from that point to right here, was in great shape and fully updated. Anyway, we're going to introduce some water to the line here, and here we go. Okay, so right here, we're white connecting on to the at this point I believe it's still 3-inch ABS. The pipe that I've seen in the other room is 3-inch. I know it transitions over to 4-inch at a certain point. The trick that we have here though is the camera's almost wanting to go the wrong direction. I'm probably going to have to tie some string to the camera head here in a minute and see if we can possibly bend it around that corner. Alright, we got some string tied to the camera head here. I think this is probably going to work. You might see an orange string from here on out, but it's just a string. And then we're transitioning over to the original cast iron pipe here as well. So this would appear to be 4-inch in diameter at this point, as best as I can tell here. It transitions here over to ABS plastic. Now, I don't know if this is an old storm drain they had to tie in, they had to recreate when they updated the line. It could be a sink drain too coming out of the front of the house. Either way, that's nothing concerning there. It's not a party line connection or anything like that. Alright, transitions here at 74 feet over to 6-inch concrete. And this is more than likely going to be right at the street curb. I'll do locates here in a little bit to verify that, but once you hit the curb here in Multnomah County, it's the city's responsibility the rest of the way. Now it looks like we've got some roots coming through right here. And apparently a crack in the top of the pipe. Look up there, you can see there's a crack. At least it appears to be one. Got a few more roots here at 78 feet. And then more roots here at this, where this meets the newer section of pipe. I'm going to go locate right here. I'm not sure my camera is going to make it much further here. There we go. It's getting very difficult to push. So I'm going to see where we're at here and how close we are. Alright, so I did locate the camera head successfully here. We are right at the street curb, basically right where the green plastic marker is at the curb. And again, that is generally where the city takes responsibility. So it does appear that some of this concrete pipe, you could contact them to find out whether or not they'll take responsibility for the concrete pipe here just behind the camera. But in general, it's homeowners right up till it hits the curb. So as best I can tell here, the concrete pipe with roots in it would be the homeowner's responsibility to deal with. I don't know why that wasn't updated when everything else was. It's kind of unfortunate that wasn't dealt with already. But with the roots and everything going on there, and roots are trying to get back in through a new joint here, needs to be updated before that root ball gets out of control and blocks up the line. Or opens it up and lets sewage escape the pipe. Okay, so this right here is the main lateral connection. We're just about a foot in front of the camera, about 92 feet out. So we're going to let the pipe drain out completely here before reeling back in. Alright, line's pretty much all drained out at this point here. We're going to go ahead and reel in. Alright, so I've already marked here with a white X right at the street curb, and again, it's right where the plastic marker is at the curb, marking where the sewer line crosses into the roadway. And you can see here that it looks like that joint is separating out. I mean, we're getting roots in through it. It's a very common thing to see, especially when you've got still live trees buried in the ground, and even more so when you have a rubber fern coat joint like that. The problem is even if you replace this, what I would recommend in this circumstance is doing an epoxy liner so that you overlap that joint rather than put another rubber fern coat around it and maybe, let's say, attach some ABS pipe to it or something like that. Any fern cone joint around a tree, especially when they have an active root system in the ground, as established as this one is, you're going to get roots right back to those joints probably within a year, even if you update it and put a new joint in there. So I recommend making sure that it gets glued rather than putting a fern coat on it. That or do an epoxy liner. I'm going to go ahead and mark right here. And again, I would contact the city and find out. Generally, when people do a full update like this, or at least on the exterior, they take it right up to the point that the homeowner's responsibility ends, which would typically be like right here. The issue here is this is going to be underneath the sidewalk, or at least just barely on the other side of it. So in that circumstance, I would contact the city just to get clarification on whose responsibility this is going to be. Alright, this is located smack dab under the middle of the sidewalk. Now I've got an X at each end. Yeah, this is generally in homeowner responsibility territory here. It's kind of odd that both ends of this were updated, but this was left, you know, it's under the sidewalk. Some people are trying to save money, but anyway, I would just get clarification as to whether that's homeowner or city responsibility before going forward with the repair. At this point, it's still functioning fairly well, but that concrete's completely shot. You've got roots through multiple different joints there and cracks in the pipe. So it is ready to get fixed. It's still functioning along there, but at some point that pipe's gonna give way. It's just ready to get it updated. And the other thing there, at 74 feet at the start of the old concrete and the root intrusion issue, I'm getting a depth there of around 9 feet 6 inches deep. When I push out to 79 feet right at the curb, the depth changes to 6 feet deep. There's a few power lines running right just about overhead of where I'm locating there that may be throwing the signal off. The locate's coming in nice and clear, but that depth doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I would recommend calling for locates to double check, make sure that you are at a 10-foot depth and not a 6-foot depth. We're coming out basement floor level, so I would assume it's going to be on the deeper end. And we've got a minor belly here. It's not even a 1/4 inch of water. Not going to recommend a repair on that. It's pretty rinky-dink. The only thing that's going to clog in a spot like that is something that's going to clog everywhere else too. It's just not enough water to hinder things at all. And that's string in front of the camera. That's what we use to bend the camera head. It's not roots or anything. Oh, we lost our string there. That will flush out of the line. And what concerns me here a little bit, I think you can hear and you can see the strings floating on down the way there. What I'm not loving is how weak that flush is at 42 feet. It took a long time for that to get out to that point. At only 42 feet, usually a flush is getting out there within about 5 to 10 seconds at most. It may just be because we have an old toilet here, but we do again have a little bit of standing water here. It's below the camera lens, and it's only maybe 10 inches long section of pipe there with less than a 1/4 inch of water. Don't love these spots, but they're just not worth tearing up the ground for and going through all that effort to fix a foot of pipe with less than a 1/4 inch of water. You can see we have no debris collecting in any of these spots, and that's I wouldn't expect it to. It's just not enough water. The only thing that might collect here is if you're flushing paper towels or tampons or putting cooking oil down the line. Even then, they're such small bellies that more than likely they're going to clear out of the way, unless you're putting gigantic wads of stuff down the pipe. We're going to let this drain out completely here for just a moment before we assess the rest of the line. It looks like the cast iron here has a very small skip of standing water across the bottom of it. Again, very minimal. We're not seeing any major debris buildup, and especially this section that's cast iron that's been here for probably close to 100 years. If you're having significant flow problems in an area, you're going to get a lot of debris buildup out of it. We're not seeing anything of the sort there. You start fixing that stuff. At a certain point, you know, I would recommend updating the plumbing in the house. Right now, at least thus far, coming back through here, I don't think we're quite there yet. Although, if you look here in the flow line, what's hard to tell is you get these spots like this where you can get scale buildup, and in the flow line, it's going to generally stay more clean and clear of that. But we're kind of getting a trough that's forming in this cast iron pipe here. It's just very difficult because there's water sitting in it. We can't see the bottom of the pipe, but it almost looks like it may be opening up there in the bottom of the pipe. It's very difficult to see this kind of stuff or see it wear through unless it's totally worn through and you can see a big obvious hole there in the ground. But I am a bit concerned that might be what we have here, or the start of it, because this right here really does look like you can see a very defined edge around that spot. We may be having the bottom of the cast iron pipe wearing out here. See a little bit more of it there too. And once any portion of the line starts to go that way, at that point, that's where I recommend fully updating, because the rest of the pipe is generally aging very similar. With a little bit of standing water there, it makes it very difficult to get a good view of it. What you can do is jet the line. The scary part about jetting the line, especially an older cast iron one like this, is if you start busting all the scale loose inside of here, it can be quite the chore to get all that junk out of the pipe. You can sometimes make things worse. But with that trough there in the flow line, though, it is looking indicative of how the bottom of cast iron pipe will wear out. So what I recommend is sending this video off to a plumber to get a second set of eyes on it. With that bit of standing water there, it makes it extremely difficult to verify, because you can have a little bit of a belly in the pipe, some minor standing water, and you'll kind of get an edge of debris that will build up around it. So it makes it kind of difficult to determine what it is exactly. But I am concerned that could be wearing cast iron pipe. Very similar thing going on here as well. I'm just pushing back out here to get the measurement on where that was at exactly. Like right here, there's nothing obviously going on here, but when you start getting up here a little further, like right there, you're kind of getting some little troughs in the pipe. You can see that you kind of get a little edge of debris there. When you look to either side of the camera, which is common, but it makes it almost impossible to discern between whether there's a hole in the flow line or not. Anyway, looks like for the most part, most of that stuff is ending here around 23 feet. Again, if it's determined that that is wearing thin there, at that point you just need to fully update all the cast iron pipe. There's no reason to leave bits of it in the ground. It's all going to age the same. So we'll put a note in the report there to have another review of the video done. I've done about 15,000 sewer scopes at this point, and even stuff like that is difficult to discern. You don't want to be tearing up your basement floor for nothing. But given the age of the house here, it's would not be ridiculous to see the cast iron pipe wearing out. Aside from that, though, we do have adequate flow to the main at this point, even with the little bits of standing water throughout the pipe. The flush there was looking a little weak, which is concerning. That may just be because we have an old toilet here. There's not so much standing water that what we've seen there is generally not enough to really slow down flush a whole lot. That's why the line is as clean as it is. But anyway, we have adequate flow to the main. Recommend a spot repair from 74 feet to 79 feet to update the concrete. The concrete pipe there is totally shot. We've got cracks in it as well as roots through 2 or 3 different pipe joints. And then contact the city to find out whose responsibility that's going to be. And again, because of the trees that are still on the ground there, I recommend looking into, you make sure the joints are either glued or you do an epoxy liner, or you're more than likely going to get roots coming back through a brand new repair. All the ABS pipe we scoped, although we have a little bit of standing water, is in good condition. This cast iron stretch of pipe here, though, is concerning me a bit. I'm going to forward it on to some plumbers to get a second and third set of eyes on it to try and verify what we've got going on there. At this time, though, as far as getting debris from point A to point B, the line is functioning at this time. We may have a possible repair needed, though, underneath this basement floor here to deal with the cast iron pipe.